Let's talk about them, shall we? They ignore you, don't they? Oh, how fun they think it is, like a child with a magnifying glass over an ant, watching, waiting, burning. They sit back smug, as if they're some kind of royalty. They say, "Dance for me," and here you are, dancing like a desperate. And they say, "Beg for me, show me how much you care." Oh, and you're doing it, aren't you? Twisting yourself into knots, bending until you break, thinking, if I just give a little more, maybe they'll finally see me. But they see you. Oh, they see you. They see your tears, your effort, your love. And what do? They take it. They pocket it like it's spare change, because to them, that's all you are, spare. But here's the twist, my friend. The more you give, the more they take, and the less they care. They're not blind, they're selfish. Oh, let's call it like it is. You're worshiping someone who wouldn't even bend down to pick you up if you fell. You're offering gold to someone who doesn't even know what it's worth. And why? Because they've convinced you they're special. They've convinced you that their silence is power, that their rejection is worth chasing. But let me ask you this. If they were so powerful, why do they need to make you feel so small? Here's the real kicker. Their rejection isn't power. It's insecurity wrapped in arrogance. It's a mask, a hollow crown sitting on a plastic throne. And you're the one keeping their little empire standing. You're the fuel to their fire, the stage for their show, the audience applauding their absence. Oh, but what happens when you stop clapping? You think your love is the problem. You think you're the problem. But the problem isn't you. It's the pedestal you've put them on. A pedestal they didn't earn, but one you built with your hands, your time, your heart. Let's burn that pedestal to the ground, because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Your silence is the one thing they can't control. Oh, they love it when you beg, when you plead, when you chase. But silence is a storm they can't predict. It's the void that makes them question their own worth. When you go quiet, when you stop feeding their ego, you turn their little game into a nightmare. The hunter becomes the hunted. Picture this, a stage, empty and dark. The spotlight is off, no audience, no applause, just them, standing alone in the silence they created. And you're not backstage. You've left the building entirely. That's the power of silence. Oh, my dear friend, let's stop pretending this is about them. It's not. It's about you. Your silence isn't revenge. It's redemption. It's the moment you stop begging for scraps and start feasting on your own self-worth. It's not about making them miss you. It's about making you matter to yourself. Let me leave you with this. Silence isn't weakness. It's a declaration. A declaration that says, I am more than your indifference. I am more than your games. I am more. And when you rise, oh, they don't want to see this. When you rise, they'll hear the echoes of your silence louder than any words you could ever say. So, my friend, are you ready? Are you ready to become the storm they never saw coming? Oh, you are. I can feel it. The fire in your chest, the ache in your heart, the need to rise above it all. So let's make it real. Say it with me loud and clear. I am the storm. Go ahead, my friend. Drop it in the comments. I am the storm. Let the world know. Show them the strength you've been hiding under their games. Say it. Only it. And then, oh, let the silence take over. Let it roar louder than anything you could ever say. Let it be your armor, your power, your transformation. Now, when you've claimed it, smash that like button under this video and hit subscribe. Not just for me, but for yourself, for the person you're becoming, for the storm you're unleashing. So, are you ready to dive deep? Oh, it's going to be a wild ride. Too much fun. Too much fire, too much power. Let's go. Let's make the silence deafening. Number 1, they think they're royalty. They think they're royalty, don't they? Sitting up there on their self-made throne, looking down at you like you're some loyal subject, waiting for scraps of attention, begging for their approval. Oh, how grand they must feel, pretending to be some untouchable king or queen. But here's the truth, my friend. Their throne, it's not made of gold. It's made of the pieces of you they've taken every ounce of love, every late-night text, every time you bent over backward just to make them feel special. It's all stacked up under them, holding them high, and they have the audacity to act like they earned it. So now, let's call it what it really is. They didn't earn a damn thing. They've tricked you into building a pedestal for them, brick by brick, with your own hands. You gave them everything, your time, your love, your energy, because you thought they'd see you, value you, love you back. But instead of lifting you up, they took all you gave and sat down on it like it was their throne. And now, oh now, they think they're untouchable. They think their silence is power, that ignoring you is some sort of game they're winning. But let's not sugarcoat this. The only reason they act like royalty is because you've treated them like they are. You've handed them the crown every time you begged for a reply, every time you justified their indifference, every time you chased after their attention like it was worth more than your own self-respect. And now they've started to believe their own hype. Let me tell you something about real royalty. Real royalty doesn't need to tear someone else down to feel powerful. Real royalty doesn't thrive on games, on manipulation, on silence that cuts like a blade. What they're doing isn't power, it's weakness wearing a mask. They ignore you not because they're strong, but because they're scared. Oh yes, scared. Scared of what? Of losing control. Of seeing you realize that you're the one with the real power, that you've been holding it all along. Picture this, a castle made of glass, standing tall under the sunlight. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Imposing, untouchable. But take one good swing at the foundation, and the whole thing comes crashing down. That's their throne. That's their so-called royalty. It's fragile. It's fake. And you, oh my friend, you're the one holding the hammer. They think ignoring you is their way of showing dominance. They think your heartbreak is proof of their power. But what they don't realize is that every second you spend in silence, every moment you pull your energy back, every time you refuse to bow to their games, you're chipping away at their glass castle. It scares them. It terrifies them. Because without your love, your attention, your validation, their throne turns into nothing more than an empty chair. And here's the thing. They'll never admit they need you more than you need them. Oh, they'll act like they don't care. They'll sit there in their silence, pretending they're unbothered, like you mean nothing to them. But inside, oh, inside, they're shaking. Because they know the second you stop treating them like royalty, the whole illusion shatters. They're no king. They're no queen. They're just someone who's been feeding off your love and giving nothing in return. So, what now, my friend? Do you keep worshipping their fake throne, or do you burn it to the ground? Do you keep bowing to someone who doesn't even bother to see you, or do you rise? Let me tell you something about rising. It's not about making them notice you. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Right about your worth. Right about your strength. Right about the fact that you don't need someone who treats you like an option when you've been giving them your all. Let them sit there in their silence. Let them think they've won. Because while they're busy pretending to be royalty, You're becoming the storm they can't ignore. Every moment you spend rebuilding yourself, every step you take toward your own power, every ounce of love you pour back into yourself instead of into them, it all adds up. And one day, oh, one day, they'll look up and realize their throne is empty, their castle is gone, and you're standing taller than they ever imagined. You don't need their attention. You don't need their love. What you need is to remember who you are. You're not some servant in their kingdom. You're not a pawn in their game. You're the storm. You're the fire. You're the one who decides your worth, not them. So here's what I want you to do. Say this with me. I reclaim my crown. Write it in the comments. Let the world see it. Let them see you rise. Drop it like it's the final nail in their fake throne. I reclaim my crown. Say it. Own it. Live it. And let their silence echo as you walk away from the kingdom you built for them, ready to build an empire for yourself. Number 2. They think you're a puppet, but you're holding the strings. Oh, they think you're a puppet, don't they? Sitting there tugging at strings they think are attached to you. Pull here and you come running. Pull there and you bend to their will. They think they've got you dancing to their tune, like some lifeless doll waiting for their next move. How cute, how arrogant. But here's what they don't understand. You're the one holding the strings. Oh, they don't see it, do they? They're too busy basking in their illusion of control, too blind to notice that every pull, every game, every little silence they throw your way, it only works because you let it. You've been playing along, haven't you? Letting them think they're in charge, letting them believe they're the puppeteer. But deep down, oh deep down, you've always had the power. Let's break it down. Every time they ignore you, every time they play cold and distant, they expect a reaction. They crave it. They live for it. A text, a call, a desperate plea for their attention. That's their reward. It's what keeps their game alive, because as long as you respond, as long as you chase, they can keep pretending they're in control. But here's the twist, my friend. The moment you stop playing, their strings snap. Picture this. A marionette show on a dark stage. The puppeteer is up there, pulling strings, making the puppet dance. The audience claps. The puppeteer smiles, thinking they're the star of the show. But suddenly, the strings go slack. The puppet stops moving. The audience falls silent. And the puppeteer, oh, they're panicking now. Because without the puppet, without the movement, without the reaction, they're just some fool standing alone on a stage, exposed for what they really are. That's them. That's the game they're playing with you. And you've been the one giving their little show meaning. Your reactions, your effort, your energy, it's what keeps their performance alive. But when you pull back, when you stop responding, when you let the silence hang heavy in the air, the whole thing collapses. Because the truth is, they've never been in control. You've been holding the strings all along. And oh, let's talk about why they do this. Why they play these games. Why they treat you like a puppet on their stage. It's not power. It's fear. Fear of losing you. Fear of not being enough. Fear of looking in the mirror and seeing their own emptiness. So they pull strings, not to control you, but to keep you close, to keep you from realizing that you're the one with the real power. Because once you do, once you cut those strings and walk away, they have nothing left. So let's stop pretending, shall we? Stop pretending that their games mean anything. Stop pretending that their silence is some grand strategy. It's not. It's desperation dressed up as control. And you? Oh, you're so much more than they think you are. You're not a puppet. You're not some toy for them to play with. You're the storm, the fire, the one who decides when the show ends. Imagine this, a stage gone dark. No strings, no movements, no puppeteer, just silence. That's what happens when you take back your power. That's what happens when you stop reacting, stop giving them the satisfaction of your attention. You leave them standing in the shadows, grasping at strings that no longer exist. And you? Oh, you step off that stage, free, alive, and untouchable. Because here's the truth they'll never admit. You've always been the one with the power. They've just been borrowing it, feeding off it, using it to keep their little act going. But the moment you reclaim it, the moment you stop dancing to their tune, their whole world crumbles. No more games, no more strings, just you standing tall while they're left staring at the mess they've made. So now it's your move. Are you ready to cut the strings? Are you ready to show them who's really in control? Say it with me. I hold the power. Drop it in the comments. Let it echo through their silence. I hold the power. Say it. Own it. Live it. And then walk away from their stage, leaving their games behind for good. Number 3. Ignoring you. That's not power. That's fear. Oh, so they're ignoring you, are they? Acting like their silence is some grand display of power, some master stroke of control. They think their absence is a weapon, don't they? A way to keep you guessing, keep you on edge, keep you chasing. But let me tell you something, my friend. Ignoring you isn't power. It's fear. Yes, fear. Oh, they'll never admit it. They'll hide behind their coldness, their indifference, their carefully crafted silence. They'll pretend they're unbothered, that your efforts don't matter, that you're just another name on their list of conquests. But deep down, behind that mask of arrogance, they're shaking. Because ignoring you, it's not a show of strength. It's a defense mechanism. It's the armor they wear to cover up their own insecurities. Picture this, a child playing hide and seek, burying their face in their hands, thinking they've disappeared. That's them. They think by ignoring you, they're invisible, untouchable. They think their silence makes them stronger. But here's the reality. They're hiding because they're scared. Scared of vulnerability, scared of accountability, scared of what it means to truly connect. You see, silence isn't power. It's avoidance. It's a coward's way of keeping control. They think if they ignore you long enough, you'll start questioning yourself. They think you'll start doubting your worth, start chasing after them, start bending over backward to win their attention. But their silence isn't about you, it's about them. Let's dive deeper into this fear, shall we? Oh, they're afraid, all right. Afraid of being seen for who they really are. Afraid of being exposed. Because when someone loves them, truly loves them, it forces them to look in the mirror. And what do they see? Their flaws, their emptiness, their inability to give back the love they've been handed on a silver platter. So they run, they hide, they ignore. Not because they're strong, but because they can't handle the weight of real connection. They'd rather push you away than face their own shortcomings. Oh, they think they're in control, but their silence isn't control, it's panic. And the louder their silence gets, the more it reveals about them. Now, let's talk about you, because I know their silence cuts deep. I know it makes you question everything, your worth, your value, your place in their life. But hear me loud and clear. Their silence says nothing about you and everything about them. Their choice to ignore you isn't a reflection of your inadequacy. It's a reflection of their fear, their weakness, their inability to rise to your level. Imagine a lion roaring in the jungle, unafraid, unapologetic, standing tall in its power. That's who you are, my friend. And them? Oh, they're the shadow, slinking away into the trees, hoping the lion doesn't notice them. They hide behind their silence because they know they can't match your strength. They know they can't meet you at your level. So they try to pull you down instead. But let me ask you this. Why would a lion waste its roar on a shadow? Their silence is their loss, not yours. Every moment they spend ignoring you is a moment they lose someone who cared, someone who tried, someone who gave a damn. And you? Oh, you're not losing anything. Because their silence is freeing you. It's giving you the chance to see them for what they really are. Someone who doesn't deserve your energy, your love, your time. So, what do you do now? Do you let their silence control you? Do you let their fear dictate your worth? Or do you rise? Because rising isn't about getting their attention. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about realizing that their silence doesn't diminish your value, it amplifies it. Because if someone can't see your worth, that's not your failure. That's their blindness. Oh, they think ignoring you is their trump card, their ace in the hole. But the truth is, silence is your weapon, not theirs. Every moment you refuse to chase, every second you hold your ground, you flip the script. Their silence becomes your shield, your armor, your declaration of independence. You don't need their words, their attention, their validation. You are enough, with or without them. So, my friend, it's time to rise above their fear. Time to see their silence for what it really is. A mask, a facade, a pathetic attempt to hold on to power they never had. Say it with me. Their silence is weakness. And then walk away, head held high, knowing that their fear will never define your strength. Number 4. You were worshiping a plastic throne. Oh, my friend, let's get real. You were worshiping a plastic throne, weren't you? Bending the knee, offering your heart, your time, your everything to someone who sat there like they were royalty. But their throne, it wasn't gold. It wasn't even wood. It was cheap, hollow plastic. And you? Oh, you gave it the shine it never deserved. You thought they were special, didn't you? Unique, one of a kind. The way they smiled at you, the way they made you feel like you were the center of their universe, until you weren't. Until they showed you their true face. They weren't sitting on a throne. They were standing on your back. Every kind word you said, every effort you made, every piece of yourself you sacrificed, they used it to lift themselves higher, not to share the view with you, but to keep you beneath them. Let's paint the picture. Imagine a throne, tall and shimmering in the distance. You think, that must be real, that must be valuable. Look how it shines. But as you get closer, oh, you start to see the cracks, the peeling paint, the hollow base. You've been bowing to something that could crumble at a single touch. That's them. That's the throne you've been worshiping. And why? Why did you give them so much? Because they made you believe they were worthy. They made you believe that if you just loved them enough, if you just tried a little harder, you'd finally earn their approval. Oh, but here's the hard truth. Their value was never real. Their worth, it came from you. They didn't build that throne. You did. You polished it. You carried it. You kept it standing. And what did they do? They sat there, soaking up your devotion like it was their birthright. But let me tell you something about plastic. It doesn't last. It cracks. It breaks. It melts under the slightest heat. And you? Oh, my friend, you are the fire. You've been pouring all your light, all your energy into keeping their throne intact. But the second you pull back, the second you stop worshiping, stop giving, stop sacrificing, it all falls apart. They fall apart. You thought you were chasing a king or a queen. You thought their silence was strength, their distance was power. But now you see it, don't you? They're not royalty. They're a pretender in a crown they didn't earn, sitting on a throne that's as fake as their arrogance. And when you stop bowing, when you stop playing the role of the devoted subject, their illusion shatters. Here's the kicker. They needed you more than you ever needed them. Oh, they'll never admit it. But it's true. Without you, without your love, your effort, your devotion, they're nothing. That plastic throne doesn't stand on its own. It stands on the pieces of you they took for granted. And the second you take those pieces back, the throne crumbles. So, what do you do now? You stop worshiping. You stop giving. You stop bending over backward for someone who wouldn't even lift a finger for you. And you start building something real, something solid, something worthy of your time and love. You don't need their fake throne. You don't need their fake crown. You are the throne. You are the crown. Oh, my friend, it's time to rise. Say it with me. I burn the throne. Let the world know you're done bowing, done breaking, done giving yourself to someone who doesn't deserve you. And when the plastic melts, when the ashes settle, you'll see it clearly. You've always been the real royalty. Number 5. The silence isn't for them, it's for you. Oh, so you think this silence is for them, don't you? You think it's some kind of strategy, a game you're playing to make them notice you, miss you, crawl back to you. Wake up, my friend. This silence, it's not about them. It's about you. Let me hit you where it hurts. Right now, you're still caught up in their world, aren't you? Still wondering what they're thinking, what they're feeling, whether your silence is making them miss you. Oh, how they must love this power you've handed them. But here's the truth you need to hear. Every second you spend obsessing over their reaction to your silence is a second you're still trapped in their shadow. They don't deserve that. Not anymore. Think about it. What has their attention ever brought you? Pain? Confusion? Nights spent staring at your phone, waiting for a text that never came? Oh, you've been their puppet for long enough, dangling on strings they didn't even bother to hold properly. And now you're trying to flip the script, trying to use silence like some kind of weapon. But silence isn't a weapon. It's a shield. It's your salvation. And it's not meant to hit them. It's meant to protect you. Let me make this clear. This silence isn't revenge. It's not a way to make them see your worth, to make them crawl back, to make them regret. It's a way for you to stop bleeding out for someone who didn't even bother to bring a bandage. Oh, don't you get it yet? You're not going silent to hurt them. You're going silent to heal yourself. Every moment of silence is a step back into your own power. It's you reclaiming the energy you wasted on someone who was too blind, too selfish, too wrapped up in themselves to see your value. They don't deserve your words. They don't deserve your effort. And they sure as hell don't deserve to live rent-free in your mind any longer. This silence isn't about them. It's your declaration of freedom. It's you saying, I will no longer let you control my peace. It's you choosing yourself over the chaos they brought into your life. Oh, it's not easy, is it? Sitting in that silence, feeling the weight of it, wondering if they even care. But let me tell you something. You don't need them to care. You need to care about yourself more. Because here's the truth. Your silence isn't empty. It's full of your strength, your growth, your healing. Every second you hold it, you're telling the universe, I choose me. And that's power. So stop waiting for their reaction. Stop hoping they notice. They don't matter anymore. You do. Say it with me. The silence is mine. Own it. Feel it. Live it. And let it guide you back to yourself, where you've always belonged. Number 6. Your silence is the real crown. Oh, let's get something straight, my friend. Your silence is the real crown. Not their attention, not their replies, not the scraps they toss your way when it's convenient for them. No, the real power, The real throne, the real crown, is in your silence. Because silence speaks louder than any words ever could. Right now, they think they've got you figured out, don't they? They think you're sitting there, waiting, hoping, desperate for their next move. But every second you hold that silence, every moment you refuse to break, you're proving them wrong. Oh, how it must sting. They expected you to chase, to beg, to plead, but instead, you've gone quiet, and that silence, it's deafening. You see, they thought they were the one with the crown, the one in control, the one calling the shots. But a real crown isn't worn by someone who plays games, someone who thrives on keeping others down. A real crown is carried by someone who knows their worth, someone who doesn't need validation from people who couldn't care less. And that's you, my friend. That's what your silence says. I know my value, and I won't waste it on someone who doesn't. Let me tell you something about crowns. They're heavy. They require strength to carry, grace to wear, and wisdom to wield. And your silence? Oh, it's proof that you've got all of that and more. Because silence isn't easy. It takes guts to hold back, to stay still, to resist the urge to explain, defend, or fight for someone who doesn't deserve you. But every second you stay quiet, every moment you choose peace over chaos, you're proving that your crown is real, and theirs was never more than a cheap imitation. Picture this: a throne room, empty except for you. No noise, no games, no distractions. Just you, sitting there in your power, unbothered, unshaken. That's what your silence creates. A kingdom built on your terms, where you don't need their approval, their attention, or their validation to feel whole. Oh, they might try to rattle you, try to draw you back into their games. But your silence, it's your shield, your sword, your crown, and it's untouchable. Here's the truth they don't want to face. Your silence is the proof that you're stronger than they ever gave you credit for. It's the thing that makes them wonder, second guess, question their own importance. And whether they ever admit it or not, your silence will haunt them far more than your words ever could. So wear it proudly. Sit tall on your throne of peace, with your silence shining like the crown it is. Say it with me now. My silence is power. Let it echo like the roar of a lion. My silence is power. And let them see what real royalty looks like when you stop playing their games and start building your empire.